You scroll. You see them winning, smiling, traveling, launching, building, winning again. It looks effortless. They're younger than you, better looking, sharper, and somehow already ahead. And you're still here, still doubting, still dragging yourself out of bed, wondering where the hell you went wrong. You think they figured it out. You think you're behind. You think something's broken in you. That's the lie. That's the system working exactly as designed. You were never supposed to feel enough, because enough people don't buy, don't chase, don't scroll for answers. So they built a world that feeds on your insecurity. They built an economy on it, and you call it motivation. But Schopenhauer saw it clearly. This world doesn't sell success. It sells the appearance of it, because the appearance is all most people need. They don't want truth. They want a mask with good lighting. They want the illusion of escape, the fantasy of arrival. The influencer doesn't have peace. They have strategy. They know which angle makes them look powerful, which filter hides the burnout, which caption disguises the emptiness. They don't wake up fulfilled. They wake up performing. And you watch and compare, and with every scroll, you bleed a little more belief in yourself. But here's the truth. Most of what you admire was built to be admired, not lived, not felt, not sustained. Aesthetic without depth, impact without meaning, noise without soul. You're not behind. You're just watching a lie in high definition. You weren't meant to see this much. Not this many faces. Not this many lives. Not this many fake wins. Your nervous system wasn't designed to compete with the world before you even leave your bed. But that's what happens now. You open your phone, and someone somewhere is already better than you. Better body, better house, better partner, better morning routine. And you're comparing your survival to someone else's highlight reel. They show the after. You live in the during. You see the launch. You don't see the loans. You see the wedding. You don't see the fights. You see the car. You don't see the debt. But your brain doesn't care. It just sees more and assumes you're less. And so you panic. You rush. You overthink. You try to catch up to a life that doesn't exist. You stop creating. You start copying. You don't build anymore. You replicate. And little by little, you become a ghost in your own life. Not original. Just efficient. Just optimized for likes, applause, validation. Schopenhauer said, "We forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people." You've forfeited enough. Time to take it back. You don't hate their success. You hate what it says about you. You see their numbers and feel like a failure. You see their body and feel disgusting. You see their confidence and feel like a fraud. But here's the truth. You don't see them. You see projection. You see branding, marketing, a narrative built to trigger envy. And it's working. Because envy is profitable. The more they show, the more you compare. The more you compare, the more you consume. The more you consume, the more you forget who you were before all this. And that's the point. They don't need you to succeed. They just need you to feel behind. They don't want you to wake up. They want you reactive, anxious, always chasing. Because someone who's chasing doesn't question the system. They obey it, even if it kills them slowly. Schopenhauer didn't believe the world was cruel by accident. He believed it was designed by the blind pursuit of desire. And the algorithm is built on that same blindness. It knows what breaks you, what hooks you, what keeps you addicted to strangers you'll never meet. And every second you spend scrolling is a second spent forgetting who you are and becoming who they want. They don't want you to think. They want you to scroll. They don't want you to create. They want you to consume. They don't want you to live. They want you to perform. Because performance is predictable. Performance is profitable. Authenticity? That's dangerous. You might ask questions. You might stop buying. You might stop pretending. So they flood your feed with images designed to replace your instincts. You no longer ask, "What do I want?" You ask, "What's trending?" And you build your life around the answer. But you still feel empty, still feel fake, still feel like a guest in your own body. Because deep down, you know, this isn't who you are. You weren't born to be likable. You weren't born to be clickable. You weren't born to be a brand. But now everything is branding. Your face, your food, your silence, even your pain. Post it, filter it, caption it, monetize it. And slowly, without noticing, you stop living. You just document. You don't feel. You perform feeling. You don't experience. You curate experience. And the saddest part? You forget how to be real. Because real doesn't get clicks, but fake does. And the algorithm knows it, so it rewards the mask and punishes the truth. Schopenhauer once said, "Man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills." In a world that tells you what to want, freedom isn't in choice. It's in remembering you had one. When did you trade your truth for their approval? When did likes become proof of value? When did you start measuring your worth by numbers on a screen? You say you're building something, but what are you building? A brand? A persona? A lie? Because it looks polished, but it's hollow. It sounds inspiring, but it's rehearsed. It moves people, but it doesn't move you. You've edited yourself so many times, you don't know who you are unfiltered. You smile when you want to scream. You post wins you don't feel. You chase goals you don't even want. And still, it's not enough. Because it was never supposed to be. The game is rigged. Not for you to win, for you to keep playing. Schopenhauer believed suffering wasn't optional. But meaningless suffering, that's what you're drowning in. You're not tired because of the work. You're tired because of the pretending. You don't need a break. You need a rebellion. You need to delete the version of yourself built for them and return to the one you abandoned for likes. You need silence, stillness, truth. Not because it's glamorous, but because it's the only thing that doesn't rot. And here's the part no one wants to say. You knew this. You felt it. You just didn't want to be the one who said no when everyone else kept saying yes. But now you see it clearly. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You've lived on autopilot for so long, you forgot how it feels to choose. You don't scroll anymore. You disappear. You don't watch for inspiration. You watch to numb. You don't share to connect. You share to be seen. But none of it touches you. You feel exposed, but not known. Followed, but not felt. Loud, but empty. Because you weren't made for this. You weren't made to monitor your worth through views, to judge your value through engagement, to measure your impact in clicks and comments. But that's what they sold you. That's what you bought. And now you wake up, not to live, but to keep the illusion alive. You don't rise. You maintain. You don't create. You manage the brand called you. Schopenhauer saw this sickness coming. A world of mirrors, not windows. A world that reflects you until you vanish behind the reflection. But here's the truth they won't tell you. Your peace is bad for business. Your joy doesn't trend. Your wholeness can't be packaged. So they distract you. They feed you noise. They sell you identity. They rent you meaning for a price. And every time you pay with your time, your attention, your soul, they profit. But not today. Today, you see the trap. And now, you get to choose. You keep waiting for something to change, for the algorithm to shift, for people to notice, for the fog to lift. But nothing changes until you do. You want clarity? Turn off the noise. You want peace? Stop chasing mirrors. You want meaning? Burn the mask. Because every second you spend trying to be seen, you disappear. Bit by bit, pixel by pixel, until there's nothing left but a projection. Your smile, calculated. Your vulnerability, packaged. Your opinions, polished. Your silence, marketed as mystique. But you're nowhere in sight. You've sacrificed your truth for attention that doesn't even feel real. And still, you call it connection. But you know better. Schopenhauer wrote, "The more unintelligent a man is, the less mysterious existence seems to him." And you've begun to feel the mystery again. That ache, that pulse in your chest that says, "This isn't it. This isn't what I'm here for." You were not made for digital applause. You were not made to decorate a timeline. You were not made to sell your soul for relevance. So stop performing. Just stop. Stand still. Turn inward. And ask the question they never want you to ask. What would I be if no one was watching? What if you stopped posting? What if you stopped proving? What if you just lived, unseen, unfiltered, unvalidated? Would you survive the silence? Could you handle being real without being recognized? Because most people can't. They don't want life. They want an audience, even if it costs them themselves. But you're different now. You've seen the glitch. You've felt the hollow victory. You've tasted the bitterness of being admired for something you're not. And it's made you sick, because you're not after attention anymore. You're after integrity. You're not chasing relevance. You're rebuilding reality. And it's hard. Hard to let go of applause. Hard to choose truth over trend. Hard to walk away from the persona you perfected. But it's time. Time to return to what matters. To silence, to soul, to substance. Time to stop existing in pieces for the comfort of strangers who wouldn't even recognize your real face. Schopenhauer said, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone." And that's the test, isn't it? Can you be alone without unraveling? Can you be unseen and still feel whole? Can you lose the noise and still hear your own voice? You say you want freedom, but will you survive the truth that comes with it? Freedom isn't loud. It doesn't come with fireworks. No cheering crowd. No viral moment. It comes quietly, in the decision to stop lying, not to them, to yourself. It comes when you delete the post you made for validation, when you sit in your room and choose not to escape into distraction, when you look in the mirror and stop asking, "Am I enough?" and start saying, "This is me." That's where it starts. That's where everything shifts. Not when you're seen, but when you see. You see the illusion. You see the noise. You see the machine and realize you were part of it, feeding it, fueling it, losing yourself to it. And now you choose not to. You choose to write, but not for clicks. You choose to create, but not to impress. You choose to be without becoming a product. And they'll call you irrelevant. Let them. They'll say you've fallen off. Good. Because you didn't fall. You stepped off. You stopped dancing for attention. Stopped begging to be seen. Stopped packaging your soul for content. And for the first time, you feel clean. Not polished. Not marketable. Just clean. Schopenhauer once said, "The person who writes for fools is always sure of a large audience." You've written enough for fools. Now it's time to speak to what's real, even if it's only heard by the few who still remember what real sounds like. You won't go viral for this. You won't get applause for disappearing, for healing, for rebuilding your inner world in silence. But that's okay, because you're not here for attention anymore. You're here for alignment. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be real. And real doesn't trend. It doesn't convert. It doesn't perform well in the algorithm. But it saves you. You've spent enough time being what they wanted. You've performed enough pain, marketed enough trauma, polished enough edges. Now you're coming back. Not to who you were, to who you were before you started hiding. That version of you, still in there, still waiting, still ready, still breathing. And now, you choose them, even if no one watches. Even if no one claps, even if it costs you everything fake you've built. Because for once, you're not building a brand, you're building a soul. And that's the only success that was ever real. What part of yourself did you lose trying to impress people who don't even remember your name? Write it below.